this league. All right, second league of the day. We just finished up a weird 3-2 with Domain Shadow. Now we're going into Golgari Shadow. Way less 5-color funky mana bases, more just straightforward get threats. But we've got the addition of Urza Saga for a little bit of a grind factor. So Urza Saga can get not only a bauble, but an expedition map to be able to get like another Urza Saga, maybe a Beseiju, a Nurturing Peatland. We can get a Nihil Spellbomb for some Grave Hate, Shadow Spear for a little bit of life gain and stabilization with like Tarmogoyf and our constructs. We've got 4 Death Shadow, 4 Goyf, 4 Street Wraith, 3 Endurance as our threats, along with a couple of copies of Traverse the Ulvenwald to help find them. 6 hand disruption spells, plus 4 Fatal Push and Abrupt Decay, 2 Infernal Grasp, Dismember, and 2 Lilianas to keep opposing threats off the board for a little bit. In the board, we've got 2 Collective Brutality for things like burn, spell-based combo decks, 2 Turok Dread Cantor for 4 color, for taxes, for whatever we can possibly get a pro-white threat down against, Necromentia for all of the Cascade decks. We've got a Choke for the Island decks, 1 Golgari Charm, one of the cards we're trying out here. So we've got a couple different modes on Golgari Charm that are a little interesting. Against like the 4-color pile decks, it's Regenerate from a Verdict, destroy a Leyline Binding. Maybe if we have to destroy like an Abundant Growth effect or something, we can. And then against like the tribal decks, it can be a sweeper if we can take it up or take out a Lord or double it with a Lord. We've got 1 copy or 2 copies of Engineer Explosives, Unlicensed Hearse, Soul Guide Lantern, Hex Parasite in the board to come in and like the combo matchups to drop our life total, as well as anything that's just relying on counters like opposing Urza Saga decks. 2 Chalice of the Void and a Beseiju. So let's go ahead and jump in and see what happens. Oh no. Spinning Wheel of Death. Need Witherbloom Command. So the only reason to play Witherbloom Command is if you want to loop Urza Saga with it. Everything else about the card is bad. Like, if you want to give an alternate opinion, you're more than welcome to. But the -2, -1 kills basically nothing in the format except for Monkey, sure. Or like an unrevolted Dragon's Rage Channeler. The kill a 2-mana permanent is good against Rin, but now we have Leyline Binding in the format that's we can't deal with it. The Return a Land is okay if you're going like a long, grindy, absurdly long match, but we're trying to kind of avoid that. Let's restart Moto. Apparently something ticked it off. So like Witherbloom Command falls into that group of cards that people play because it's modal and don't want to really look at how bad the individual modes are. They just say like, oh, it's modal, so I should be playing it because I get options. But the individual options are all very, very lackluster on Witherbloom Command. Which is part of the reason that you're seeing like such a big decline in Kolaghan's Command being played. Because like the individual modes just aren't doing enough nowadays. And I hate to say that because I love Kolaghan's Command. Now let's try this. But if your card is like, okay, let me trade down on mana, it's sorcery speed against monkey, that's pretty bad. If it's trade even with exactly Renin 6, that's fine, but they've already gotten like their land back, so they probably don't care if you kill it that much. It's rebuy an Urza's Saga, but that's going to be like turn 4, 3 at the earliest, but more than likely 4. Back to Nature when we're not running Urza's Saga in our deck. Kind of like it, but I've always hated losing to random cards like Chalice or Mapantron. Yeah, but for those, I would just rather run Abrupt Decay. Like, if I want to answer those specific cards, then Abrupt Decay just gives me the flexibility of dealing with, like, Ledger Shredder and opposing Shadows and Goyfs and Territorial Kavus and still hit those same things you're talking about. No companion revealed. It's pretty slow hand, but I'm in the blind. Don't know what I should be looking for. Scapeshift. So this is Scapeshift, then I think my best guess is to Catacombs on 1, Saga on 2, Lily on 3. This isn't going to be a very good matchup for us, especially on the draw. But one thing that I always get a kick out of when it comes to card suggestions is people really like suggesting like their pet card, which is understandable. Like if you enjoy a card, then yeah, you kind of want to like get other people to enjoy that card as well. But usually we're not very good at looking at cards objectively. And 9 times out of 10, the fact of the matter is like your pet card, when it is getting played, it's not doing anything relevant. It's not performing in these like lists that are winning challenges and big events and whatnot, because it's just not like that impactful of a card, but people really want to hang on to it. Like, oh yeah, I need to play Witherbloom Command. Well, more than likely the reason that Witherbloom Command isn't doing anything relevant is because the card's just like not that good. And it's just kind of like a fact you got to deal with. If it were better, it would be doing more, and we wouldn't be having this discussion. All right, so they wish for Scapeshift, I'm assuming. Like, if the card was better, it would be in things that were winning. But wish for No way they wished for a Tormod's Crypt, right? What do they think I'm on if they're wishing for a crypt? But I also take that same argument against like Death Shadow variants and say, hey, like, we've got this status quo of what's currently in Grixis lists. Might have thought I was in Golgari food. That's fair. That's a fair argument. But we take the status quo of like what's currently in Grixis lists and say, this is it. This is what you need to be running. Like, you need to be running Ledger Shredder, Iteration, Drown, Bobble, Ragavan, Shadow. And it's just not working. Like, there's a reason you're not seeing those cards winning events in Shadow. It's just like not good right now. But nobody stops and says like, okay, well, maybe we shouldn't be running these cards together. No, they just keep jamming the same thing over and over again and wondering why the results aren't changing. Would I ever give up on Shadow or nah? I can't imagine a world where I would give up on Shadow. I just enjoy like the play style of Shadow decks too much. I would be more than willing to like try out new options in Shadow, which is like what this channel's all about. But I don't think that means I have to like give up on the deck. Wishing for an Alpine Moon is pretty funny. Don't really want to shuffle more lands back into their deck while they're missing. Need more tails ends. Everything needs more tails ends. I'll hold up Beseiju in case they plan on going for a Scapeshift. Just have a Titan. We'll scoop to a Titan. All right, so we're going to have to be a lot more proactive on the play. We do have Necromentia that can name Valakut. And Hex Parasite, kind of a combo matchup. Probably playing Dryad. So I guess I'll bring in the Choke. That bench, it is in fact bench coming out of his retirement for us. All right, so we get to bobble ourselves. Maybe we can find a Thoughtseize or an Inquisition before this Goyf. Still having fun in Lost Ark. Seen a little bit of gameplay. Looks fun. All right, so let's bobble ourselves. Looking for a Thoughtseize. Survey says Saga. Do I want a Saga? Do I want a Saga? Can get Hex Parasite. No, I'm just going to shuffle it away. So many Goyfs, so little time. All right, one way or another, we're going to have a Saga. We are going to grow these Goyfs a little bit. All right, opponent. Flame slash the Goyf. Flame slash the Goyf. You don't know how this works. Ren, sure. Okay, we're gonna need a few less lands. I believe I'm just gonna ignore the Ren, swing at them. Here's another Goyf. The next turn, I'm probably gonna just like make a construct, tutor up something. Oh, or I could just tutor up a Hex Parasite. See what we get. All right, so what is my plan off of this? I could get Bauble, Hex Parasite, or Map, or Shadow Spear. Maybe Shadow Spear is worth it. Now Hex Parasite's looking better. Kill Dryad with Beseju. So you want me to kill the creature that's in the deck that wants to ramp mana to kill me when they get up to 7 lands. You want me to speed up that process. I question this plan a little bit. Got him. Also have the Titan. All right. Well, at least we got like probably one of our worst matchups out of the way. I guess that's a plus. We are not a beat Scapeshift version of Shadow. We are a beat Burn and beat hopefully Murktide. Have a little more game against 4-color version of Shadow. All right. Noble Hierarch. So my immediate assumption is Yawgmoth. Not Yawgmoth. Very much not Yawgmoth. So let's get down Tarmogoyf. We can Besage you an Inkmoth, so there's that. Gonna go for the chip damage. Nope. Got it. All right, so let's see what they got going on behind the scenes. They do have another copy of Inkmoth, so I'm going to take the Blossoming Defense. Channeling doesn't do anything here before damage. So we're just going to hit this now. Now, do I want to just flash in Endurance and block? No, because they've got Rancor. So I need to dismember. But they didn't find a protection spell. That is the wrong one. That is unfortunate. So we are going to end of turn dismember you. Now we've got some lethal attacking Tarmogoyfs. Okay, so Golgari Infect. Vitality's okay. He's probably not good enough anymore against Infect. X-Parasite, unfortunately, does not remove counters from me. Seiju seems okay. Golgari Charm is probably reasonable. If I set up just like an end to turn Golgari Charm and try to wipe away a couple dudes. Spell Bomb's bad. Shadow Spear is probably not worth it. Expedition Map can grab a Seiju. So I think that's worth it. Liliana's a little slow and bad against Ink Moth. So let's go like this. Definitely took like a hard 90-degree turn from one of our worst matchups to a much better one. But still got to wait and see what happens. Ugh. Is anybody else playing in any PTQs or regional qualifiers this weekend? If so, what format? Modern, Pioneer. I think I saw somebody in a Spike stream that was talking about like playing in a chaos draft or chaos sealed regional qualifier. And while I doubt there was some truth to that, it sounds hilariously awesome. Once. I wouldn't want it to be a format, but I could deal with one time. All right, opponent's coming up with a hell of a sideboard plan for us. Good old Schleeb. All right, hand's reasonable. Yep. Death Shadow, you say? I would like to draw that. Thoughtseize, Blighted Agent, Ignoble Hierarch. Well, let's take the agent. So they can Thoughtseize away our shadow and push. But they can't Thoughtseize away our Beseiju. Gotta love it. All right, I'm not in a lot of danger of dying this next turn, so let's just get Shadow down, say go. Yep. Opponent has found a copy of Blighted Agent. I know their last card in hand is an ignoble. So I think I'm just passing. Yep. You can have your graveyard. Sure. Oh yeah. You want to spin a spell on it? Yeah, you do. Deal. Traverse, and I've got card types. What can we traverse for? What are the options we have available? Of course, they're not showing up there, so we can get a Saga, another Shadow. You get another Endurance. Probably just another Shadow. So let's attack with you. Gotta throw a blocker out. So I can actually traverse for a Shadow, play a Shadow, and hold up this other Boseiju. So Shadow, play Shadow, Sego. That's pretty good. Yeah. Functioning magic cards. Just how he drew it up. My opponent's dumb. Why is my opponent dumb? Literally laying down and sat up at the mistakes. I mean, if you're talking about like the turn or game one animate the wrong ink moth, then it wasn't ideal, but we did have the answer to it, so there was that. All right, what do we got? Opponent molds to 6. What did Foothills on top? Ah, I see. Opponent's not a fan of fun. First, you don't bring in Thoughtseize against mid-range deck. You bring in Endurance. Endurance would have been okay. Also, the misplay is swinging with Nexus even after knowing you play Boseiju. I mean, they can't, like, just stop playing the game, right? Like, just because you know I have interaction doesn't mean you can just, like, never do anything relevant again. Like, hey, the mid-range deck has removal spells against me. I guess I gotta stop playing. Because they swung with the Ink Moth, but they found a Blossoming Defense. I think that was the same game. Might not have been. Okay, so let's cycle you. Play you. Push you, because this is going to be a damage race. Go. With regular creatures, they can try to do regular damage kills. They can, but like that game, they didn't have any regular damage creatures, right? Well, they had the two ignobles, but they didn't have like any pump spells at all. Taking 10 off my Goyfs. What sorcery is this? What am I traversing for? Am I traversing? Traverse for a Wraith to try to find a Thoughtseize and still play Shadow. It's probably my best plan. Let's do that before I play a land. Go get a Street Wraith. Cycle. Booyah. Fury Leyline Binding. Don't really care about either of these. I guess if I have to choose. No Grist. I thought about Grist. It could have a place. Did you find the Cascade spell off the top? They actually found the Blind Cascade spell. Oh, man. All lands. You brought this on yourself, OP. They've got a Fury and an unknown card in hand. All right, who's ready for it? Who's ready for it? That's right. That's right. We've got a Shadow Spear in the deck. And please don't have another Leyline Binding. I guess they probably can't even play it because they can't fetch and shock. Yeah. Shadow Spear OP. Shadow Spear OP. All right. Golgari Charm's probably reasonable enough to just like wipe out the plant tokens. It's never going to be great, but it's just like EE number 3. Got Chalice is great. Hallie's kind of meh. I want Necromentia. Take out map. Take out some of the spot removal. Do I want to bring in the Necromentia? Is it worth it? Probably better than an Endurance. All right, so we've got 2 Chalice, 2 EE, and a Necromentia. Plus Thought Seizes, Inquisition. So I think I'm okay shipping this back, looking for something more proactive. Okay. And then am I throwing back the Necromentia? What's deck redemption? So deck redemption is if you have enough channel points for it, I'll run through. It's like in place of a league donation, I'll just run through a league with like a deck list of your choice, whatever you want it to be, full 5 matches. Omnath. Omnath. Had to remember that I can Golgari Charm a Leyline Binding. Land. Heck yeah. So they can Leyline Binding the Goyf right here. Sure. Let's just go ahead and play that out. Yoma redeemed Hydrate. Gotcha. So their hand is Misty, Cavern, Omnath, 2 unknowns. I feel like I need to set up an opportunity to Golgari Charm the Leyline Binding instead of like doing it into turn, like a Golgari Charm it to ambush the Omnath. Destroy target enchantment. That one. Not gonna lie, I didn't really think that was gonna work. They just have another Omnath. We out here playing tribal omnaths. Dylan, I think Stream Decker might be down at the moment, so it's not pulling up deck lists for a moment. All right. Am I just gonna have to like strap up a Goyf to race? Domain list finished up 3-2. Again, I recognize that there's some lack of synergy between Shadow Spear and our one-of Scourge, but if Shadow Spear allows us to just win the games, I'm okay with that. What do we think of it? It's okay, but I mean, like, if your goal is to win, you should probably just, like, cut the Shadows or cut the Scions. Okay. Traverse. So Traverse is live. I could just go get a Shadow. See what happens. Carry on. I don't think these lists usually run endurance. Or not endurance, solitude. This is like second fury. Try to clear the board. What would happen if I equipped Shadow Spear or Shadow with the Shadow Spear and actually connected? I would gain back up to 13 life. Regardless of how big the shadow is, we'll go to 13 life. Shadow does deal damage, yes. Kill off my Goy. All right. We have what we would call a possible path to victory. We attack him with Shadow, pass. They attack him with Fury. We block with Endurance. We attack with Shadow again. not shuffle anything in. Block here. Go to our turn. Attack with Shadow. Play a Scourge. Go. You hit another Omnath. Resin Reef, sure. Resin Reef into Omnath. Resin Reef into Omnath Storm. Got a Fury. Suspend Glimpse. Okay. Shardless Agent. Okay. Yeah. Deck's perfect. I'm just glad to see Shadow Spear won us a game that not many other cards could have. Actually, I don't know if there's another equipment that 1 mana gives something trample, so maybe another card could have. Samwise GG. Goblins. No. Ooh, that's actually really, really good here. Play you. Say go. I want to get this Shadow Spear as soon as humanly possible. Runenvelt Horde Master. If it or another goblin dies, exile the top card of your library. If it's a goblin, you can play it. Let's play Tarmogoyf. An opponent is going to cast a Munitions Expert because they want to kill our Tarmogoyf. Nope, just more Horde Masters. If it or another goblin you control dies, exile the top card of your library. You can cast a card until the end of your next turn. All right, so we are going to declare a block, cycle a Street Wraith, go to damage. They're going to exile the top half of their library. Snoop and a Sling Gang. Load of mana. Get Shadow Spear. Do I need to strap up the Shadow Spear or just get the second Tarmogoyf down? Probably. Let's strap up the Goyf. Kind of need to find an answer to this Snoop. Og fantastic. All right, what do we got? Inquisition. That's actually pretty good. So if they have a Harbinger, we can take that. Double Kiki Jiki in hand. Yikes. With a Mog Fantastic on top. Here's another Goofy Goober. Sling Gang Lieutenant. Okay. You can sack a Prospector to play that. Or no, they just kill me here, right? Because they sack Horde Master Prospector for 2 red. Play out the Kiki Jiki. Why, just kill me? Am I wrong there? They sack out Horde Master to Prospector, make a red, sack Prospector to itself, make a red, play 3, cast Kiki Jiki, copy the Snoop. Or no, Kiki Jiki has to be on top. What am I talking about? I'm stupid. Ignore me. Ignore me. All right, well, we drew pretty well. So let's go. Peatland's fine. Crack in. Like, they're going to get to block this one regardless, so. Now they've got a Harbinger in exile, Snoop, or Harbinger on top. Whatever his name in exile, so I just want to Infernal Grasp the Snoop on their upkeep. Them choose their vials. Snoop. So yeah, if they had Kiki Jiki, they just wouldn't have a way to untap the Kiki Jiki. And the Snoop doesn't have the ability from the Kiki Jiki. I could Besage you the vial on 3. Maybe I was supposed to. No. I don't want to let them go to their turn or let them draw the the Harbinger. Maybe maybe I was supposed to Besage the Aether Vial on their upkeep. Nah, I don't think there was really a good way to do it. Den of the Bugbears. All right. That's another point of damage on my Goyfs. See what you're drawing into. More Harbingers. Matron. Okay. Oh yeah, and the Harbinger was exiled, so they can play it out. Man, Huntmaster goes off for Hordemaster. I feel like there's a reasonable chance I'm going to have to end up Besaging one of these vials. Matron on the stack. Let's stack you, see if we happen to draw removal spell for a Sling Gang. But I guess I can't just Matron for another Sling Gang. Don't know how many they have. Actually, is this two different Sling Gangs? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 in hand. 17, 23. So yeah, this is two different Sling Gangs. Oh man, so much to keep up with. And they got a War Marshal. So I have to throw everything in front of the 7-8 Goyfs. They're just dead, right? Or no, these are 2/2s. Okay. What if we just had a 500 million goblins? Make a dude. With. Ringleader's pretty good. Hovel's a whiff. Alright, so we can Thoughtseize a Kiki. Or we can just Besage the Aether Vial on 4. I think we just Besage the Vial on 4. Play Goyf. Pass. Upkeep. Besage this here Vial. Stay go. Please, in the name of all things just and holy, be enough. Got a ringleader. Ringleader hits a matron, and that's it. Matron 3 lands. Which I'm not too surprised about because you kind of already hit like every piece of gas in your deck through the first 7 turns. You had to whiff somewhere. All right. Game 2. So, Golgari Charm hits Horde Master. Ease for some of the tokens. Brutality can pick off a dude. I did not realize that Horde Master and says until your next turn. Not until you're in step. Whole nother turn. That is fairly solid. Could bring in Hex Parasite to fight over vials. Necromentia can name Horde Master Snoop. All right, got a little interaction. We've got Traverse to find a threat. Map can find a Saga. Learned that the hard way too. Killed one in the second main with OP tapped out, and they got to cast the next turn. Yeah, like that's kind of nutty. Inquisition of Kozilek. File off the top. I'm not going to be able to interact with that, so let's go for the hand. Do have a Blood Moon. We do have a Death Shadow. Matron action. Matron for a Harbinger. Maybe I was supposed to get Saga there. I might end up just like fetching a shock land or a fetch land with Expedition Map. Just take the free kill. Snoop, that is. Snoop, that is. Got a Harbinger. What do you want to do with it? Are you going for combo? No, they're going to put a ringleader on top. Okay. I think I'm better off just getting a fetch land and going with a big shadow. I could get I was gonna say I could get Besage You and just like take out the vial and shuffle away the ringleader. Ringleader, what you got? Log War Marshal. Cool. Also cool. Oh yeah. Carry on. Another ringleader off the top. Man. Your double munitions expert. All right, so if I Lily Edict, they sack Harbinger, play the fetch land, attack with everything. They've got to block both shadows. Yeah. Lily Edict. Fetch land, attack. Could have cracked Peatland and gone for a removal spell. Probably what I should have done. But definitely what I should have done. I found like a Fatal Push or Infernal Grasp or something there. It was just game over. All right. 3-1 somehow. Only loss being to Scapeshift. Which, unless you're like overloaded on Necromenches, is never really going to be a good matchup for you. It's good for like the blue base shadow decks, not so much for the Golgari base. And a die roll. So we've got land, creature, sorcery, potentially artifact. So we can get Delirium pretty quickly. Don't worry, I'm here now. We don't lose anymore. That's what I needed. Needed that reassurance. All right, let's get basic Swamp and Thoughtseize. I've got a bunch of ways to lower my life total, so I don't really need to fetch and shock crazy aggressive. Hammertime. Gotta take aid. Yep. Wouldn't be a modern league without ending against Hammertime, right? So 1, 2, 3 to 14, 12. We can get Shadow online here. $14, cycle you. Fatal Push is a good draw. And play out this just so we can cycle it away. Get a redraw. Another Sagas 8 off the top, you say? So they cannot animate the Ink Moth and play and equip the hammer. This is pretty safe. I don't care about Shadow Spear. Just finished a game versus Hammer. We went to turn 16. I didn't even know there were 16 turns in a game of Magic. I did have one time I went deep like that against Tron. That was super awkward. Blue-white taxes. That's not a real deck. Come on. Kind of just want to Fatal Push this Esper Sentinel. Like, I give him a draw, but it's real to me. You and the other two degenerate individuals. All right. Start with Thoughtseize. Cauldra complete. What are we looking for? I probably just want to like grab another shadow this turn. Attack with one shadow, play the other shadow. Like I'm dead to a hammer off the top right here. But next turn I can traverse for a Boseiju. They got like one draw step to find a hammer. That is not a hammer. Had a game against Black Green Rock that went insanely deep. OP's tracker was like 10 toughness. Ugh. Big lad. All right, swing. Yes. And traverse. Do I want Boseiju or do I just want like endurance? Endurance might actually be better. Because Boseiju, I blow up the Sigarda's aid. I blow up the aid. They get another land. They get hammer off Saga. And if they top deck a pure steel paladin, I lose. With endurance, they don't get a land. They can get hammer. I guess Boseiju only loses to pure steel paladin, right? But I have to Boseiju right now. Could also just Boseiju the Saga. And then I only lose to exactly another hammer off the top. Just wait for them to make another construct and blow up aid. Well, the problem is they like don't have to make another construct. That's why I always talk about I'm not a big fan of lines like that, because if my opponent just doesn't do the thing, then I throw away my good time to interact. So am I blowing up the aid? Blow up aid. I can blow up the construct. That's just blowing up aid. Pretty sure with Boseiju we can't lose. That's a very, very bold claim. I think there's probably quite a few ways we can lose from here. Everything we blow up like has something that it can lose to. The idea is just like trying to minimalize that. Like our line of blowing up a Boseiju there loses if our opponent's next card is a Pure Steel Paladin. Nothing we can do about it. So like maybe we should have saved Boseiju to blow up the hammer. That doesn't lose to Pure Steel Paladin, but it loses to Blacksmith skill. But somehow we make it out of that alive. So we've got Golgari Charms, EEs. We've got another Boseiju. Turok. Maybe I want Necromentia. Maybe I don't. Like better on the play, but still I'm 3 bad. Our wait, see what he does. Kill construct. He's dead on board. If he doesn't have blacksmith skill, but if he draws blacksmith skill and we go to kill the construct and he skills it, then we're just like 2 shadows that aren't lethal against a strapped up token because we waited. Like, that's all I'm saying is there's going to be some line that we lose to regardless of what we hit when. But we can kind of minimalize that by saying, okay, they've already played. Pretty sure we lose to them. No, if we were going to target aid, then we should target aid like on our turn. We shouldn't let them untap with it. We shouldn't go to their draw step if we're targeting aid. Opponent mold to 5. I'm just going to throw back the second shadow. Partimore, you're like the 5th person to ask about Witherbloom Command. Basically, my thoughts on it are this. Witherbloom itself is a bad card. And if you're playing Witherbloom Command, you're playing it for the exclusive purpose of trying to, like, loop late game value with Urza Saga and stuff like that. But it's just, like, not a winning line. I'm going to Thoughtseize here. Hold on to the Fatal Push. So you're playing Witherbloom Command just to try to like get back Sagas and whatever in the late game. And you're using suboptimal cards because they have modality. But I think realistically, yeah, you don't have a hammer. Realistically, you should approach it with the idea of if Witherbloom Command and Saga decks was the right way to go, those decks would be doing better. But it's not the right way to go. They're not doing better. So therefore, you shouldn't try to just like copy their game plan. You should be trying to do something better. March of Otherworldly Light on my shadow. Well, that's just not very friendly of you. Hero decks equal bad decks? Usually, yeah. Alright, no land, please. Thank you. Oh, and the good guys draw a heater. March this. No, I was kidding. Don't do it. You can't have a march. Go away. Stop it. Stop it. Sorry, apparently they can't have a march and hit my Saga. Ugh. Remind me not to tell people what they can or can't have again. Ornithese. Here's a Goy. Your last card's a hammer. We're going Fatal Push and Ornithopter like nobody's business. Oh, yeah. Carry on. Yeah. 4-1 with Golgari Shadow. Okay. So we did win some number of games just by being able to get Shadow Spear off Saga. We beat Goblins with that. We had Shadow Spear against Hammertime. That was going to be good there. The mana with Saga is a little awkward in the early turns. Like trying to go Thoughtseize into Thoughtseize Shadow or something when you got a Saga in your hand can be a little strange. But for the most part, like we've been able to work around that a bit. The constructs have been largely irrelevant. It's mostly just been like the ability to tutor up one of these 1-drop artifacts. So that's probably a sign of like the rest of the deck is functioning pretty well. So maybe we want to just like cut the Saga package, go more into the Shadow Tarmogoyf plan, find another threat that we like, and just go that route. Like if we cut the Sagas, like let's do a cut pile over here. We cut the Sagas and we cut like some of this stuff, the artifacts that synergize with Saga. Then that 8 slots could potentially just become like 3 more lands for Dothy. And we can just be pretty consistent that way. But ultimately, like the Saga tutoring up an artifact has been the best part of it. The constructs, because we're just like playing more stuff fairly aggressively, haven't been that good. But the deck is 8-2 in 2 leagues, so that's got to count for something, right?